Hello Guardians, AER0KNIGHT here. You may know me from the Destiny Reset podcast. Welcome to Community Checkpoint, a new video series I've been working on. In a nutshell, I want to involve you guys in creative, constructive, positive videos and chatter about Destiny 2 for us to engage in and the Bungie team as well. I hope for us to chat in the comment section below as well as on Twitter before, during, and after the process of making these videos. Hopefully allowing us to grow and flesh out ideas that we can provide the Bungie team about our favorite game, Destiny. First off, I'm playing Destiny 2 week in and week out right now. I'm enjoying it, but I still think our constructive feedback to the Bungie team throughout the life cycle of this franchise is important. We play the game a lot, and because of that our feedback is important. And Bungie agrees, I'm sure. For this series, I plan for us to choose important topics that could have a very substantial impact on the game. For example, in this first episode, I want us to tackle the topic of replayability in Destiny 2. I've mentioned many times on the podcast the idea that games are meant to be fun at their core. As a gamer for pretty much my entire life, I do play games for fun. Way back in the day, talking NES and SNES, even all the way to my first online gaming experiences, there weren't a gazillion stats, or loot, or other things to chase constantly. Not the games I played anyways. You played because it was fun. Whether the devs and the gaming companies have groomed us aging gamers to like the loot style get a reward type of system, or it's just simply how we want to play the games now, the reward incentive is a big deal. Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 are no exception to this new way, if you will, of how we play games. When I play Destiny, I play it because it's fun, but I also play because I'm chasing the loot, that reward at the end of an activity. That's fun to me, and obviously to many. That substantial carrot on the stick many have said Destiny 2 feels like it's missing. So with all this, I thought it important for us to explore this topic, replayability in Destiny 2. Like I plan to do in all of these videos, I asked you guys. I sent out a series of tweets over a couple of weeks, the first being, looking for constructive feedback regarding the loot grind combo in Destiny 2. Interested in your ideas on what could add replay value and more to the fun factor. In-depth ideas or simple ones, all are welcome. Strike-specific loot, new activities, role ideas, etc. Thanks. I followed up a little bit later and sent out another one that said, "Hey Guardians, please keep sending your thoughts on my previous tweet. I'm looking to continue to brainstorm ideas regarding the loot grind in Destiny 2. Systems like Masterworks that at their core would add substantial longevity to all content. Thanks." So, with that said, let's jump in and see what you guys thought. As I was reviewing your feedback as well as collecting my own thoughts on this topic, I kept trying to put things into a list of, say, the top things we think would greatly improve Destiny 2's fun factor. Again, my goal for us with these videos is to learn and grow ideas together. I realized early on in creating this first episode it was already happening. Collecting your feedback and combining it with my own thoughts, I started to realize several core things we were going back to again and again that would substantially add to the replayability of Destiny 2. These aren't groundbreaking and new ideas. Many Guardians have already mentioned them for some time now. Initially, things high up on the list were new activities, or activity-specific loot, or secret quests, but I quickly realized that if the core incentive to play, the loot, isn't a motivator, then these things wouldn't help much at all in the long run. With this, other more substantial items moved to the top of the list. I realized that the main idea here is not that we need more activities. Destiny 2 has plenty of content. We need more incentives and reason to do that content. Again, not groundbreaking stuff here. If nothing else, our discussion conclusions are reinforcing feedback that the Bungie team has already gotten. It was just fascinating to me in creating this video and chatting with you guys how it boiled down to just a handful of items. There's one main concept that I kept coming back to while working on this episode. We need core systems implemented that will immediately and substantially add longevity to the game we already have. This will solve the no incentive to play issue that many players feel like they have. We do not need more content right now. More content won't add longevity to the game. Okay, so here's the final list I've come up with factoring in all of your feedback as well as my own thoughts. Of course, there's always room for other feedback, changes, and things like that, but that's the whole concept of these videos. As a community, start somewhere and continue to build on ideas while allowing Bungie to lurk through the whole process. Number 1, random weapon and armor rolls. The co-founder says, "Tokens gone, random rolls back, and make levels matter. Feel the power again." Kakumachu, "I really loved random rolls. Help the gear feel unique, and I actually enjoyed farming for stuff with the Dirt Fam. I also miss rare drops. The haves and have-nots gear economy made D1 more interesting. As long as competitive stuff is sold in the tower, I like exclusives. Spacemans. Random rolls on weapons and armor. That was the main thing that kept people playing D1 in my opinion. Joe Meaden. I have loved the addition of Masterworks. I would love to see Masterworks bonus be even more significant with more bonuses and or increased effectiveness of current bonuses. Also maybe make one milestone each week the featured one, which guarantees a Masterwork. A guy named Nate. Multi-layered quest that yield you a weapon or gear that when used unlock depth. 10,000 kills against Fallen get you a bonus against Fallen. 20,000 get you an ornament, etc. Handsome Dragon in reply to a guy named Nate. That's honestly what I was hoping the Masterwork system would be. Once you got a Masterwork, you could unlock different perks, skills, and more. And the better you were with it, 250 kills in PvP equals increased reload speed and handling. 500 kills, improved radar. 1,000 kills, luck in the chamber. Not these exact perks, but ideas. Chubby Wizard 2. It's a little off topic, but I miss Arms Day. It was something to keep track of every week and was a good way to try and get variety into the game for weapons. I got some really fun guns from it too. PDX-95, DIS-47. Man, I had some great versions of those guns. Wizard. Those were a couple of my favorites. Alright, so first, the addition of Masterworks has been excellent. I put in a few of your tweets where you talked about Masterworks. This is an example of a core system that immediately added the loot grind back to almost all the content in the game. I would like to see even the adventure content, all the content in the game affected by systems like these as well. I know you get tokens and those vendors could give you a Masterwork, but I think it needs to be more direct in the example of activities, like adventures. Give us reasons to do all the things you've already built into the game. But again, Masterworks is a great example. Just to add, Mods 2.0 that they're working on currently could also add depth in this regard. We know several things they're planning to add in the game from the development update that we got a couple weeks ago. So, several great examples that could add, core systems to the game, like we're mentioning, that would add this random roll aspect. After gathering all of your feedback, I came to realize that some fashion of this system returning would help so many different aspects of the game. No matter what I added to the rough draft list, it all came back to random rolls and adding depth to the current loot we already have. We've heard it over and over again from the community. I myself have been back and forth on this since we heard about the static rolls in Destiny 2. When we did the live show at GuardianCon, we talked about it. I still don't think I was fully on board. Once D2 launched, I liked it. The variety of weapons Guardians were using in the game, especially in PvP, was awesome. Remembering back to D1 and all the different go-to guns we had and all the different metas and how you'd load into trials and you pretty much knew what people would have. I mean, I'm talking Suros. That was before trials. Thorn, The Last Word, Grasp, Nerwins. A special nod to my favorite, the No Land Beyond. You remember, there was different periods in Destiny 1 where you knew what all three of your opponents were going to have because it was the go-to gun. We wanted variety, but we also wanted balance. We got pretty close to that in Year 3 Destiny 1. With D2, we're pretty much there for the most part. It initially seemed great. There was a huge variety in weapon usage. Even in creating this video, I still wasn't certain we needed random rolls back. But again, you realize that it's not more activities that we need. There's plenty to do in the game. We need the loot incentive to want to do those things. Random weapon and armor rolls do this at a core level with the loot we already have. This is a fundamental system that adds endless loot grind to the game. Sure, it may make it harder to balance. You guys may know, I'm a Crucible guy. I do want some sort of balance, but I think in the long run for both PvE and PvP players, weapon and armor rolls are crucial for the replayability of Destiny 2 and any iteration of this game moving forward. I didn't get my exact Luna I wanted until a month before Destiny 2 came out. But that's okay. I had a great one already and it kept me jumping back in the Crucible day in and day out. We do have to be understanding though, guys. If we want this to come back, we can't be disgruntled for things being less balanced. It's one or the other. We've got to decide what we want. Now, with that said, we don't have to go back to D1 level of random rolling. Maybe they aren't core perks. Masterworks is a great example of a core system that is already adding this replayability to the game across the board. While Masterworks are fun to grind for already, I do think we need more depth, which they've said they are currently working on and is a goal for Masterworks. I don't think the current perk bonus provides quite enough, but this system and Mods 2.0 could eventually solve this core issue. Okay, moving on. Number 2, a PvE and PvP ranking system. Destiny rocks. I would like to see a ranking system like the one they are bringing to PvP. with rewards unlocked at certain levels. Once you hit a max level, the fun drips out, so this would make it worthwhile. It could be infinite in theory. Went on to say, yes, like Valor Glory but for PvE. This would be an infinite number, think XP, with unique rewards at key milestones, booster weekends, points boosts for rating, etc. No more light level max out and with rewards to keep you playing. I think this could be a really cool system in the game. This is an example of something that would make all activities relevant all the time. The PvE side of this one, I don't think it ever occurred to me. I've been on board with and focused on the PvP ranking system for so long that I never thought about what a PvE ranking system could do for the game and ultimately the grind. Now I don't know how it would work. I mean, really, is it our light level that is a PvE ranking system? Or could we have some other separate ranking system that keeps track of the strikes and raids we run? I don't know. I mean, you guys brainstorm with me. Are there things like this in other games? PvE type of ranking systems? Even if they wanted to keep power level, they could implement another number that you could grind after you hit max. Think of it like Diablo 3 Paragon levels. You keep grinding out a number even after hitting max level and gear. I'm not sure what the reward could be for this, because in Diablo you increase a stat each time you level up. That wouldn't really work in Destiny. Whatever the reward could be, it would also be cool if this number you grind after hitting max level and power is what is displayed above your character. I always wondered why back in the light level days and even now with your gear level, it's not the number that's displayed above your character. Anyways, just some more ideas that could be cool to see in Destiny 2 and add replayability. I don't know, I just think if it's possible, we could flesh this idea out. I think it's a cool idea to have some sort of ranking system on both sides of the game. This is another example of our theme here, a core system that immediately and substantially adds longevity to the game we have right now. This is another reason to grind all current content. Not much more on this one yet, but this idea is a great example of my goals for these videos. Destiny Rocks tweeted a great idea, and now we can continue to brainstorm more on it together. Number 3, record book or equivalent. This idea has already been mentioned for Destiny 2 before as well. I'll be the first to say I didn't grind out all those record books in D1, but I know many that did. For many it was their main focus. Now I do kind of miss them. I feel as though now I'd be even more apt to complete them, knowing now what they did for the game back then. They add a core system and layer of grinding to all the current content in the game. That's our common theme once again. Just add some goals and milestones inside the books, just like you've done in the past regarding rewarding us at certain points, and we've got a great grind incentive on our hands here. Maybe you tie in the PvE and PvP ranking system we just talked about. Just another thought. That's pretty much it in a nutshell on this one. Let's flesh out some more detailed ideas together. Number 4, bounties for every activity. This one I thought about again recently. The daily challenges are great. I love those. But the thing is, I still don't check them when I jump into an activity. Now when I get the prompt that I completed one, I do get excited. It's a great feeling. I get rewarded. That's the feeling that we're going for here with this entire topic. I know we get tokens. I know many Guardians have plenty to say about the token system. But maybe add a challenge that gives engrams directly versus just tokens. Either way, that feeling we get for being rewarded for playing is what we're going for here. Bounties do this. I loved where we got with them in D1, and I think a lot of Guardians did. They are tangible, if that's possible in the game. I guess it is for our character. What I mean is, we are making it a point to pick them up with the intention to complete them. We get acknowledgement on screen for doing them. We get rewarded for doing them. We have to actually manually turn them in. This is great. This adds more layer to all current content. When you used to pick up bounties in D1, what was your process? I know what mine was. I logged in, decided what activities sounded fun that day, and I went and got the bounties that would reward me for doing those activities. Many of you know I primarily played Trials for a long time. It's still one of my favorite activities. It has been for quite a while. So I picked up those bounties. The system worked. We're back to a common core theme that I keep saying and probably at this point annoying you guys with. Bounties add immediate, substantial longevity to the game we already have. Granted, bounties aren't loot. I still believe, as we've already talked about, adding a core system to the loot grind is the main focus here. But bounties also add to this. They add to everything in the game. That's what we're looking for. Quality of life things they can add to the game that add to all the content we already have. There's plenty of it in Destiny 2. We don't need new content. We need reasons to do the content we already have. Maybe leave the daily challenges that reward us with tokens. Have bounties give us engrams. Double up on the reward system. We won't mind. Number 5, activity-specific loot. like the Grasp and Strikes or the Vex and the Vault of Glass. NFG Rocker Dude tweeted me back and he said, definitely activity-specific loot like ships, ghosts, guns, etc. from raids and strikes. Maybe not random perks, but weapons need something to make them different. They are auto shards currently to me. I miss having to check all gear to see if I wanted to keep it. This one kind of ties back into the random rolls a little bit too. Now, I'm sure there are many more ideas we can and will brainstorm on the core loot systems that could be added to the game. But with the final two items, we're going to move on to more specific content and activity related ideas. The concept of specific loot from specific activities introduced in Destiny 1 was fun. It was great. I don't think this alone fixes any core systems or loot issues like I just mentioned, but it does give us incentive to return to certain activities. You add a layer of random rolling to this and it again adds longevity and fun to the game. An example, like I've mentioned, Grasp of Malak, or Malak. You remember that conversation. Anyways, remember how long Guardians grinded for that thing? Believe it or not, that's what we want. We may not think so every time that roll we don't want drops, but it is what we want. We want all those wrong rolls. That's what makes the amazing one that much sweeter. And it adds incentive to play the game. Do you guys remember when Triple left his stream on and logged in to continue for hours upon hours grinding for that excellently rolled Grasp? You can see how this episode is just naturally coming together. Refer back to my Luna story. We're back to talking about random rolls again. This is what I was talking about. As I was creating this video, no matter what bullet point I put on the list, it just kept going back to the loot and varying up the loot we already have, aka adding random rolls to weapons and armor. Okay, last one. Number 6, PvE Wave-Based Mode. Burning Jorts, aka Burning Wing 0. He says, the most fun I remember having outside of raiding in Destiny 1 was with PoE. If they could bring something similar with a few changes, a wave-based mode, it would be a great time. Have that activity reward special loot of some type as well. He went on to say, the April update PoE where we tried to get high scores for the next week's TWAB. Yemmies, yemmies. I miss Archon's Forge, a group of peeps blowing stuff up for loot. Good times. John Levine's 5. I second the suggestion to add activities like PoE and Archon's Forge. I'd love to see an activity like Queen's Wrath too. If you've listened to the podcast, you know how many times I've mentioned this. Some of you probably roll your eyes every time I mention it at this point. So with that said, allow me to elaborate on this idea. Destiny to me could not be built any more ideal for a true wave-based mode. What do I mean by true? I mean a wave-based mode that continues through all content in DLC. Actual wave after wave of increasingly more difficult enemies. Something equivalent to Trials, but on the PvE side of things. Something we can just zone out and grind for hours upon hours just chatting with our friends. Prison of Elders was close. It was fun. Court of Oryx was close. It was a blast. Archon's Forge was close. It was actually really fun. It probably was the closest we had been. But deep down, I knew when new content came out, each of these activities would become irrelevant. Why? Why? Implement that true wave-based game mode that continues across all content releases, even into sequels and new full-blown iterations of the game, like Trials does. I've brainstormed so many times with so many different Guardians on what this wave-based mode could have. Example, there could be a total of 50 waves, let's say, that are saved every 10 waves you complete throughout the reset, and you can return with your fire team or by yourself. Fire teams would tackle it, the soloing community would take a crack at it, add an exotic chance every 10 waves. This is something I talked about with somebody on Twitter a month or so ago. How about every 10 waves, a specific strike boss spawns that gives you a chance at that strike's specific loot? We can go on and on. It's easy for us to do that. Bungie gets hit with the actual work to implement these kinds of things. But I really do think this could add so much longevity to the PvE side of the game. So many Guardians would play it and Bungie could implement it so well with their talented team. And if you add random rolls, activity-specific loot, and these other ideas we've mentioned, we'll grind this for hours upon hours. If you can't tell, every time I talk about this idea, I get pumped. I've mentioned it so many times on the show. Anyways, we've got some honorable mentions, some things you guys sent me that I definitely wanted to put in this video. That's the whole point. Get you guys involved, and together we can figure out ideas and flesh them out and ones that we think are top-notch ideas to provide to Bungie. We've got one from Josie, 1993. I think they should add value to breaking down the same weapon over and over, like a masterwork gun. If you break down the same gun, we'll record it, and when you've broken down so many, you get another perk or weapon skin or ornament. I think this is awesome, especially with the current system we have. We're breaking down so many duplicates. Masterworks, has added to that a little bit, but I'm still breaking down duplicates left and right. I think this is neat. Even if they incorporate everything that we've talked about, this would still be cool if there's something there that you get after breaking so many of the same gun down. I love this idea. Another one from Big D. He says, my favorite loot grinds from Destiny 1 were things like Black Spindle, Touch of Malice, Outbreak Prime, more please. Also, I got to give a shout out to Big D. He did a follow-up tweak with that classic asterisk, and he said, were versus we're. Just had to give that clarification for him. You got to love that autocorrect. Anyways, people love these quests. We had several of them. We've heard so many times, Bungie, you knew we liked these. Why didn't you put any in Destiny 2? These are great. I don't think in the long run, 2 or 3 of these quests will add what we're looking for in this topic as far as immediate, substantial longevity to the content we already have. But if we had 2 or 3 of these, a handful of these in the game, they create an uproar in the community. And by uproar, I mean just full out excitement. The one that was in Wrath of the Machine was so cool. It was just such a neat one. And Black Spindle, we had a forum post on our group page to help people with strategies on how to get the Black Spindle, the most efficient ways to get your Black Spindle. There was also that ship that you could keep grinding for to try to get, which I never got that ship in that Black Spindle mission. But anyways, the whole point is people love those. Put those back in the game in future content. I think they've already hinted at that as well. Barrett and a lot of the team are all over Twitter answering questions, which is fantastic. I think they've kind of hinted that maybe some of these are coming back. Pocket Veteran, armor set bonuses would be cool to see. We've talked about this one on the show. I think it would be really cool. I completely agree. I think a lot of us do. Why don't we have armor set bonuses in the game? I really always think about Iron Banner when it comes to this. When Iron Banner rolls around, I want a reason other than just looking like I'm running Iron Banner to put all my IB gear on. I want to, I thought about this. We always usually run an exotic. I want a reason to not run an exotic. If I put all 4 pieces, or 5, if you count your mark, if I put all Iron Banner pieces of gear on, give me a set bonus perk that's better, just a little better than what an exotic could do for me. Now, I'm running all legendaries, but I'm running a full set. I don't know what that could be. Let's brainstorm on that, guys. I just think it would be cool. You could do it with every gear set that's in the game. Maybe not every. Maybe every in-game gear set that's in the game. It's a cool idea. Many games already do this. I think Pocket Veteran's right. This could be cool in Destiny. The Irish Tide. Thank you for this top 10 list, Guardian. This is great. Number 1, multi-tiered ornaments. Very cool. Number 2, exotics tied to factions with quests. Kind of like what we were just talking about. A little bit different. Number 3, multi-tiered auras. The auras are great. Everybody loves that Nightfall aura. The trials, they're cool. Put more of it in the game. Anywhere you can. It's cool when Guardians know how you spend your time playing the game. I'm a Trials guy most of the time. Lately I've been playing PvE a lot, but Trials is one of my favorite activities. When I get that full set and I get those ornaments, I sport it. It's cool to be in the tower and Guardians just kind of stop and look at you and they're like, oh wow, that Guardian must spend a lot of time in Trials. You can tell. That kind of stuff is cool. It gives you ownership of your character. Number 4, inventory resets with vendors. This is a great idea. We're kind of getting this now with the last update we got, which is great. We get all of the armor, but we get a random weapon that rotates each week. Of course, it doesn't have random rolls, but it's a random weapon from each vendor that we get. I loved in Destiny 1 how all the vendors sold different weapons that gave us different perks. Now, we just got the refresh on the vendors usually every time a major update would hit. I always wondered why, and I didn't know maybe if it was difficult to do on their end, but if they just did that every month, what that adds to the game is so huge. It gives you a reason to log in. It gives you a reason to go to the social hubs. It gives you a reason to try new weapons. And I think towards the end of Destiny 1, they implemented that. There was role resets way more often. Anyways, that to me, and I'm sure to you guys, just makes sense. It adds to the game. So if we get random rolls back, it would make complete sense to throw a reset of that to some interval in the tower or in the social spaces where we could go check it out, give us a reason to log in, give us a reason to try new weapons. Number 5, strike adventure specific loot. We talked about that one. Number 6, gear set bonuses. We talked about that one, second mention. Number 7, raid, crucible, strike gear perks. Now, depending on when I release this video, they are with the first wave of patches on January 30th with the development update. They've said they're releasing, of course, Armor Masterworks, which is great. You can re-roll stats. That's fantastic. And they're also releasing some raid stuff, specific activity perks and things of that nature. So we're kind of on the track to getting this one. Number 8, activity-specific mods. That's cool. I can't wait to see what they do with Mods 2.0. It sounds like, from what Josh Hamrick has tweeted, they're completely redoing it. So we've mentioned on the show that they've mentioned that power is a big deal. They seem to be getting a common theme from the community that we want our Guardians to feel powerful. I haven't mentioned that in this video much because we're focusing on replayability here, but I think that is a big thing. Light level needs to matter. You need to feel powerful. We may hit on that on a later topic in a later episode, but for now we're just talking about replayability. It would add to replayability as well. Number 9, great mod depth. Again, mod system 2.0. Hopefully that will answer this one on the list. Number 10, clan events and stats. We definitely could always have more clan integration in the game. It's great what they added with Destiny 2. Again, Destiny 2 has many great foundations, a lot of content. We just need to build on it. So I think with clan events and different clan things, we definitely and hopefully will get more things implemented throughout the life cycle of Destiny 2 and the whole franchise going forward. Alright guys, so many great ideas. I can't thank you guys enough for all the feedback you provided. This has been a lot of fun. We've covered a lot of ideas in this first episode, and it wouldn't have been possible without you guys. Bungie, I know it's easy for us to just list idea after idea, and the harder part is to actually implement it into the game. We understand, and we know this game is constantly running like a machine, and you're constantly getting feedback from us on things we want, and probably less feedback about things we like, because we're just doing those things because we like them. Just know it comes from a place of love for the game. We all share that core motivation. We love this game. Again, I'm having a blast in Destiny 2. It's my favorite game. I hope for these videos to allow us, the community, to discuss and gather our thoughts on specific topics related to the game. It doesn't mean we aren't having fun with the current state of the game. I'm still knocking out those milestones every reset. But with that love of the game comes the opportunity for us to provide constructive feedback in a respectful and understanding fashion. Now, just a reminder on these videos, there's no set schedule on when and how I plan to release them. I really plan for them to be more like research projects. Core gameplay ideas and topics like this first episode that we can dive into and really flesh out. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, thank you so much for providing your input, as that is one of my main goals for these videos. I want to get you guys involved in the content creation process and brainstorm with you guys and come up with these excellent topics that we can just flesh out in detail. I want you guys to be involved. We can learn so much from each other building and brainstorming on topics like these. Again, I do hope this small corner of the internet finds some of the Bungie team, maybe prompting some interaction from them as well. But I do know the power of lurking. Just because they don't say anything doesn't mean they aren't listening. Guardians, you can find all my info below as well as our podcast info. Thank you so much for tuning in. Oh, and one more thing I want to add. I really want that tower card game. Anyways, I won't go down that road. I also want to mention for the Dirt Fam and the Destiny Reset listeners, I didn't mention SOCOM one time in this video. Oops. Okay, until next time, take care, Guardians.